I remember the days when you could buy airline tickets with open return dates.
Yes,
You keep them in your desk drawer.
yes. And I used to write them out by hand.
Yep. What are the codes called? The airline codes? ARC codes?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and get started. There was 6 reserves, so people may trickle in, but out of respect for your time, I want to be sure and get started on time. We're here for designing a website that converts visitors to customers. I wish this would be a one-slide presentation and I could say this is the way to do it, but of course every business is different, and more importantly, everybody's customers are different. So what may work for one travel agent may not work for another, and that's where fostering your existing database of clients becomes really important. I'd be more than happy to share these slides with anyone after the presentation. That's why I passed around the sign-up sheet. So start with a little bit about who I am. I'm Joe Skibby. I started JRS Marketing Communications in 2008. I had been a director of marketing for a privately held financial services firm in Elmhurst, where I went to undergrad, and then I got into policy for a Chamber of Commerce in Texas, where I relocated to finish my master's studies. So 2008, coming back with my MBA and 12% unemployment, having been a pretty public figure in both the positions I had. So I figured I could go out and network my way into work. When nobody wanted to network with Joe, the unemployed guy looking for work, that's kind of how I decided to start my business on a lark, doing marketing, project management, and consulting. And just through that grew into a business. Started from home, was the primary caregiver for my daughter through the first 4 years of her life, and as she transitioned into school, and my son transitioned also, it just grew 3-day weeks, 4-day weeks, 5-day weeks, and now she started first grade 5 weeks ago. My son's in full-time care, and the business is right where I could have planned it to be, but didn't. So everything's heading in the right direction. Speaking engagements are a good opportunity for me to not only share my knowledge, but also keep relevant and make sure I know what ultimately potential clients are looking for in the meetings that I have. So active in the Greater O'Hare Regional Business Association, active in the Arlington Heights Chamber of Commerce. I've been at Elmhurst JC, which is a 21 to 40-year-old leadership organization in both Elmhurst and currently Palatine, and networking and events like this is how I keep my pipeline filled. So, the business is JRS Marketing Communications. It's at jrsmarcom.com, and you're just in time. We're going to start with who are you? I want to know about who I'm speaking to so I can tailor some of the recommendations and pitches. If you can give me the who, what, when, where, why, what brought you here, and ultimately why you signed up today, and what you're looking to take away from the presentation so that I can make sure to cover that.
Okay.
Would you like to start?
My name is Susan Gibbons, and I am just starting small business, and I'm focusing on kind of sustainability. My background is in corporate social responsibility and environmental sustainability, and I will probably be focusing on small, medium-sized businesses, because there's a lot of consultants working with the big organizations. Yeah. And so yeah, so I need a website. I want to better understand what I need to do to market.
Overall, in terms of sustainability, are you focusing on anything in particular? Or?
What I'm focusing on is, I think where small, medium-sized enterprises are probably doing an assessment of where they're at.
Yeah.
And then identifying a strategy on what things are important for them to focus on, because some things may not be. Yeah. And then communicating that to their customers.
Okay. Is a competitive advantage. And what do you hope to get out of today's presentation?
I think a website is core to businesses now, especially with social media interactions, and everything needs to point back to that. And if I'm going to go out and present myself to businesses, they might want to come back to my website. Sure. To see what it is that we actually spoke about.
Fair enough.
Just, to get the whole
The hub and spoke,
understanding.
right?
But the millennials, this is really important to them. So I think it's a good time to kind of start working with small, medium-sized businesses so they can promote themselves to that market segment that's coming up quickly. Well, they're already there, but.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Jeff, you want to?
I am Jeff Williams, CEO of BizStarters.com. We've been in business for 25 years. We specialize in business startup for people over 50. And I've had the pleasure of working with Joe before. I'm here today because you can never be as good as you want to be in converting visitors to customers. A lot of people lose sight of the fact when they design a website that the key here is to convert people to customers. Not just to have them come and read something on your webpage or have them think your pictures are great. A lot of people get hung up on what I call the eye candy, and they don't ever convert anybody. They're not getting leads, they're not getting customers. So you can always learn something new, and that's why I'm here today.
I'm Dawn. I'm a travel agent. I have my own business. I'm with a host company. They provide me with a website currently, but it's really generic and populated with their materials that don't suit my business per se. So I am looking to create my own website for existing clients to provide them information. It will kind of cut down on some of my touch points and my steps that I can do, but also for converting leads. And just a place to point leads. Kind of where I'm at in my business. I've been in business for 5 years now, and doing it while raising the kids as well, and now they're both in school full-time, so I'm focusing a little bit more on it. And I'm starting to think a little longer term instead of this just being a part-time sort of filler thing, looking to actually branch out and bring some people in underneath me and really grow it into a business, and not just something that I'm doing.
Very cool. A lot of similarities there.
Yeah.
Yes,
My name is Chris. I'm just trying to start a phone repair and computer repair service/business. I have a website running right now and some social media outlets that I'm using: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Just trying to get visitors, I guess, into customers, and that's really the key point. Reviews don't really translate to customer, so. I guess I want to see a different perspective or aspect on how to do that. And just kind of trying to expand my business doing that.
how did you get into the phone repair and computer repair?
I was just helping out friends doing it, working online, kind of seeing where the quality products are, and then it's kind of a need, I guess, nowadays, and kind of interesting to get into.
Yeah.
I want to expand more to doing that, as well as just kind of having an online store too, where they can buy cases and accessories.
Refurbished?
Yeah, refurbished.
Just you, or do you have techs working for you?
I have one tech with me, but I'm usually doing all the tech work because it was full-time as well.
Sure. Thanks, Chris.
Hi, I'm Ann Farrell, and we have a small nonprofit resale shop called Annie's Resale for the World. And no one was using that name, so that's the only one I could find on the internet that no one was using. My husband and I have traveled a bit. We worked for 2 international agencies that serve the extreme poor. So we developed a resale shop to support 6 partners overseas and 1 in Chicago. And I'm kind of a one-person show. I do all the donor development, website, accounting, bookkeeping, payroll, volunteer recruitment. So I'm trying to find out what are some of the key things I can do to keep the website viable and to make it, effective.
Sure. Yeah, well, thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you all again for dedicating the time to be here. I mentioned earlier, there is no master recipe for every one business, but there are ways for individual clients, once you understand who your client is, to attract them to the site. Conversions, again, are also difficult to track. There are things like call tracking, online chat that can draw a more direct line, but a lot of times you are looking for increased engagement to the site, and that is the metric, as well as tracking last year's sales numbers. or month-to-month growth or sales. So, and again, I'm going to talk generally a lot about websites, a little bit about conversion and what makes it a conversion, but I want to be sure that you all leave with what you are looking for. So please, let's make this a dialogue and not a lecture. I never like to sit through lectures. So, sounds like all of you have websites except for Susan. So why does your business need a website? Susan talked a little bit about the hub and spoke and driving back clients when you're out in meetings. And what are some other reasons?
Builds your credibility.
Credibility, legitimizing presence, for sure.
Tells people who you are and what you do.
Yeah. It's an electronic brochure on steroids.
What about case studies? What about successful repairs? What about successful client consulting engagements?
Yeah.
Sharing your
That's
story,
mine also.
more of an interactive piece, not just something that's standing there. Blogs, exactly.
Mhm.
What about Chris mentioned potentially selling hardware through his website, right? I mean, now you've got a virtual brick and mortar that you can have a website for as well. So, a list, we talked about legitimizing presence, information sharing, furthering the conversation, getting involved in social. For those of you with websites, do you link to social sites? I know Jeff does, Chris said he did, yeah. Do you guys, first, do you guys monitor Google Analytics? Do you know how many monthly? Okay. Then how come you're engaged on social?
A lot of, so my target client base, families,
Yeah.
leisure travel, moms tend to be the primary bookers, and moms spend their time on Facebook. Some on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, but mostly on Facebook. So that's, I do a lot of marketing on Facebook.
And it's pretty successful for you?
Yeah.
What exactly are you marketing? Is it, hey, come let me book a travel or trip for you, or is it, I just booked for a family, this was the details of their vacation?
A little bit of both. It's a little bit of education, awareness of, hey, these are some different destination options. Sometimes, like if a special comes up, some sort of deal, but I'm not really a deal-driven sort of
Sure.
seller. Yeah, a little bit of education as far as like, what does a travel agent do? Because a lot of people go, oh, travel agents still exist?
Yeah, I can go on Expedia, I can go on Travelodge, whatever it is,
Yeah,
right?
so what's the benefit? Yeah, so selling myself as well.
Okay, and is that something that you started at the beginning with a plan, or is it just kind of evolved?
No, there's not a plan.
Okay.
There's no plan, it's
Sure.
just what I do.
I think the word plan kind of can be a little bit intimidating. You think all day planning session,
Right.
documenting, putting things online. I start all engagements with a project strategy map, and that's a little bit of legwork on the front end with Google AdWords, because is everybody familiar with Google AdWords? So Google allows businesses to pay for advertisements tied to keywords related to their industry. So an example that I have with a client who does credit card processing said, oh, it's merchant services, that's the term, like just look at merchant services and you'll find it. Well, as a small business owner, as someone with a credit card, I don't know what merchant services means, maybe through exposure now I do, but we did the research, and what the actual keyword where there was search traffic tied to the Chicagoland metropolitan area was payments. So Google will tell you the specific terminology that's used in your industry, and that's how we start the research, so that you're talking to your clients with the right terminology, using the words, the keywords that they're going to be searching for.
So, what is it called again?
It's called Google AdWords. You can, anytime I don't know something about digital marketing, I Google how to do it. So you can cite, how do I find Google AdWords? Or Google's keyword tool is the
Yeah,
actual
that's the one you want, keyword tool.
AdWords. So yeah, once you have that, then the strategy map goes into name, address, and phone consistency, probably a business description, which is primarily your About Us page, and then we get into, if it's a website, we roll into site mapping, which I'll cover later, and then we also look at social media, which ones you're going to be engaging in, and then ultimately client personas. So if you are engaging with clients currently, take a look at your best performing client and draw a picture of them in a paragraph. And now you're able to more effectively target that person online. You know what their interests are, you know maybe what kind of car they drive, you know that they're a community shopper versus going to Amazon. And just draw a paragraph or two description so that now, if you're engaging in social media, you have a plan to engage in social media, and maybe even an editorial calendar and how you're going to shape the content. You know, October is the month before holiday travel season kicks in. Maybe we want to drop some content about that. So, and again, that can be done in a page-and-a-half outline, so it's not an intimidating document. I'll be more than happy to share an outline for that as well. So, you know, let me know if that'd be of interest to you. So, acquisition and retention are kind of how we break down why your business would want a website. And on the retention side, you can increase customer service. You can use social media to do that as well. Somebody reaches out on a contact form, somebody calls you, somebody leaves a message on Facebook, you can immediately respond and then further the conversation. Topical Trust Authority goes to some of that content I've been referencing, whether it's a blog or whether it's just an update to your website. You want to be constantly driving content so that people have a reason to revisit the site. Now they come, they're interested in your service. I think we'll cover a statistic later. 96% or so of visitors do not convert on the first time. So now you've got to give them a reason, you've got to give them some value to bring them back to the site. And again, referrals. Very easy to share a link or share a card and drive people to your site. So. We talked a little bit about the different types of sites. These are, you know, you can literally Google types of websites and there'll be articles on 19, 8, 20, 100, whatever. They're kind of synonymous and interchangeable. But you know, if I was a photographer or somebody in copywriting, I might want to have a portfolio website. If I, you know, I'm a not-for-profit, I may have job listings or opportunities towards the bottom here. You know, personal websites, maybe you've seen them as family websites, etc. So these are really interchangeable. And again, the lists of types of sites can get quite arduous, but this is a good overarching breakdown of a number. And then I listed apps on here just because that term's been popping up more and more. An app, like a weather app, a news app, you know, something on your phone that would be set. You don't have to go to a browser to engage. I heard a statistic that's kind of tempered my excitement about apps, that the average person, and this is, again, remember, averages are skewed, but 7 apps, they engage in 7 apps daily on their smartphones. So now you've got Facebook, somebody's news app, a weather app, maybe they're a banking app. Are you really going to make that much of a difference with an app, with what you're doing? To, you know, and it can be quite expensive to create an app.
So these are the different types of websites, these here.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily, this isn't in concrete. These are some terms that cover different reasons you may have a website. So it's just a, you know, each one of these would potentially have a different strategy on how to convert a visitor, is the reason I bring this up. So, you know, if your portfolio site, let's say it's about recipes, right? So you've got, instead of images or instead of blog posts, you've got recipes laid out. So now what would be a conversion for you? It would either be somebody signing up to receive your weekly or monthly recipe, or visiting the recipes more frequently, calling you and signing up. So how you would pitch that website for a plan to convert would be a little bit different than an e-commerce site where you're looking for people, drop in, search for what they need, buy. So this is just kind of the, you know.
I've seen, like, I work for a multinational, and their website tried to do like everything.
Right.
And it was almost like too much.
Sure.
Where it almost becomes
Well, too much from a resource standpoint, too much from a time standpoint, too much from a cost standpoint. Like, so, yes, Amazon, right? Amazon tries to be a lot of the music, e-commerce. I'm sure there's reviews, different things, but Amazon has a whole team. This is kind of positioned to small business owners,
Right.
owner-operators, people that are doing the work themselves. So we were talking shotgun versus sniper specific towards a goal. But you kind of have to identify what that goal is, who that client is that you're trying to target. Or, you know, you can do probably 2 to 3 clients and still be successful in capturing. Because now, if you get too specific, you're not going to have enough traffic. And conversion rate, in essence, is a numbers game. So if it takes 300 visitors, and I'm just pulling these numbers up, don't be tied to these numbers. So if it takes 300 visitors to fill out one contact form, how many 300 visitors do I need to drive to my site to, you know, reach mass with the contact form submissions? So we're just kind of playing to that numbers game.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Let me just say something at this point. There are some hosting companies that will allow you to have multiple websites for one fee. We use Bluehost for our clients. And once you pay them about $100 for a year's hosting, you can have 15 websites for no additional cost. You just have to pay for the domains, which is the name. And that's only about $8 a year. Because that's what my company did. We used to have e-commerce and selling a coaching product on the same website. And we sat down and said, wait, this is confusing. There's too many choices for someone who comes to our site. So we came up with a completely different name, moved all the content, designed it so it looks different. They're both owned by the same company. You wouldn't necessarily know that until you get to the site. And we could do that for no extra cost because Bluehost let us have the second website without paying for hosting again. You pay that one hosting fee, because I know people that have 8, 9 websites. You can do that today. I mean, it takes time to design every one of them.
Right.
But, you know, for example, on our main site, we have the blog, we have social media, and we have the information brochure all on one site, and then we have the e-commerce on the second site.
Well, and if you're going to have multiple sites as well, you would want a separate strategy for driving
Right,
traffic
each one.
to each. You would want to have a separate navigation path to each product so that they can be measured. That's plan, measure, analyze, adapt. You're going to hear that over and over. And if I think, you know, when I started my business back in 08, I wrote down a business plan. I haven't revisited since because it's always been up here, but it's, you know, as much to plan as possible. So I probably should invest some time to revisit that. But everything else from a content perspective is tied to products or services I offer, and there's a monthly calendar for those to roll out, and then it's in promotion of these types of events, education events or other speaking events. So, and that gets populated across social, with the end goal being to drive back to my website, which is primarily a legitimizing business. So,
Excuse me, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Plan, measure, adapt, and adjust. What was the last one?
plan, measure, analyze, adapt.
Analyze, adapt.
It's a good sequence.
So here's a couple statistics. I always, even in my personal thought world, I guess, is I get amazed at how quickly these numbers skew. You know, you look at just a couple years difference between guys that I know who are in business and a couple years older, a couple years younger. The way they think about websites, social media is wildly different. So this is kind of shaping the picture of what the current environment is all about. And I'm just going to fly through these because I don't like necessarily reading, but last year, mobile search, meaning searches conducted from your smartphone, outpaced PC-based searches. So that was a big shift in the market that you now have to dedicate assets or exclusively focus on mobile search. 59% of consumers use Google every month. Find local reputable business. More than 60% of consumers take action on location-based ads. You can draw a fence around an area or an event and only serve display ads across Google's network. So that's, if I'm on CNN and I've got an ad scrolling on the bottom of my phone, Google's network placed that ad. If I'm on PBS Kids and an ad pops up, Google placed that ad. And Google pretty much runs the ad world. They have over 80% of the search market. Bing and Yahoo split the other half. But when we're talking digital, we're talking primarily of Google. So, you know, if I'm a art festival in a downtown community and I happen to sell frames, I can draw a line around art festival, and everybody within there that's looking at their smartphone has the potential to be served an ad about my frame shop. So you start to think about how that can be utilized, it becomes a pretty powerful tool versus, you know, my 250 going into the program ad book that may or may not get read and may not drive revenue. So from a, you know, and there may be reasons to get in that program book. I understand I'm a community-based business, I want to invest in my community, but from a strict ROI perspective, there's more effective ways to allocate your spend. So this, what I was talking about, 98% of search traffic choose a business on page 1. So there's now 4 different ways to get on page 1. We talked about AdWords, you can pay, and of course pay to play, you're right up there at the top. You can be in my local searches. So this is something, as a business owner, you can do fairly easily. It's establish a Google My Business profile, get a Google Plus page, make sure that you have images and your business description, your name, address, and phone is listed on there. Because if that's not taken care of, you won't be even able to list for people searching in your geography. 88% of consumers consult reviews before purchase, and then this is mind-boggling. 7 out of 10 customers are more likely to use a local business if they are active on social media. So maybe I Google something, now I come up with a website, scroll up, down, like what they got going, now I click on their social media. So I think this is, the data is telling us this is how people are searching now. So if it's not a direct referral, if it's not a community resource or neighbor that's trusted, your digital presence is basically you in a suit and tie at a networking event, but now served up on a smartphone. So it's very important.
That's pretty amazing that 88% of people are going to the reviews.
Yeah.
Yep. One of the reasons that boomers are the fastest growing users of the internet.
Yeah,
They like to research.
Yeah.
Research the hell out of stuff
yeah.
before they buy anything. So we've really driven that. Yeah.
When you talk about the topical trust authority that I was sharing, that's a ranking factor. So there's over 200 ranking factors. Nobody really knows how each of those is weighted, but topical trust authority would be sharing a case study, writing a blog article, having reviews, etc. It's this guy or girl, this business does what he says he does, and he's revered or regarded in his industry for it. And that's all subjective, so they're looking at all those trigger points to point back and give you the check for the check plus.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun with Yelp. People come in our shop, taking pictures, giving us 5-star reviews. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, as much as Yelp can be a huge positive for a
I
business,
know,
it can be,
I know.
I hear a lot of horror stories about Yelp. You know, my advice for anyone engaging or not engaging in Yelp and making that decision is make sure that your online community is being fostered first. So make sure your website is refreshed with fresh content. Make sure your social profiles are active and posting, and you have a constituency based on social that you can communicate with. Let Yelp, which is a for-profit business model, let them operate in their own environment. They're not here for your benefit. They're not here for your negative, but your community is. So I would focus more, like I would advise against, you know, participating in any of their.
Oh, I never do. I've never paid them a penny. I didn't even know about them, and all of a sudden
Right.
people said, I saw you on Yelp, and so I looked them up.
Yeah, well, and they're a huge driver. A lot of Google search comes back with Yelp before your business page, and
Yeah.
that's a huge issue. That's where Google is trying to get ahead in why they've placed the local search results above organic. So now, you know, Google wants to give the searcher, their client ultimately, what they want, when they want, where they want it.
Mhm.
So if I type in painting and I get a paint shop out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, that's not valuable to me.
Mhm.
But if there's 3 in a 10-mile radius and those are served to me, that's how Google's staying on top of that. So that places like Yelp and other bookmarking or referral directory sites don't take advantage. But again, this, just like you would invest in a community, invest in your online community, whether it's time or resources, make sure that you're fostering that, because that can be more valuable than a referral from another site. I'm going to pause for a video. You know, we've been talking a lot about the modern environment for what search looks like. And I think this is a video from Google, and it sums it up, and I just think it's very relevant. As much as I try not to do a free ad for Google.
Hard to avoid, isn't it?
You know, it is hard to avoid, but I think that really paints the picture of how people are finding businesses. And if it's not, like I said, a direct referral, if you're not in a community where people would recommend you first, if you're not in a social community where a lot of neighborhood pages now, I just had my blacktop redone, or I need my blacktop redone, does anybody have a referral? Google, right, or whatever search engine you use, and that's all tied to your digital profile. Now you're going to get people to your site. Is your site built to convert that traffic? So I mentioned analytics earlier. When you're looking at analytics, it's a free tool that Google offers. You can very easily implement it into your website. And what that can give you is a snapshot of who's visiting your website, not direct IP addresses, but if they're a new returner or have been to your site before, or a new or returning visitor to your site, how long they're on your site, how many pages they visited, and more importantly, where they're coming from. So if you're engaged in social, you can count the number of clicks back to your website driven from the social media. So that's really, again, a budget allocation trigger point, because if I'm getting more traffic from social than I am from organic search, I want to start to pour more resources into social as a tool. A couple more statistics. 0 to 8 seconds. Somebody gets to your website, you have, just like a convention display, they say 6 seconds. If somebody's walking past your table, you have a very brief time to capture their attention, tell them what you do, and keep them scrolling. Like I said, 96% of the people that come to your website aren't ready to buy. This is interesting. More landing pages, the more leads. We talked about Jeff and his multiple product lines. Creating a separate landing page for each of the product lines. Could have, I don't know if you tried that. Was that something that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you explain what a landing page is?
Sure. So, again, thinking of referral traffic and how people get to your website. If I'm on Facebook and I share a link about a trip, Disney, let's say a trip to Disney, right? Big with families. So that landing page may be just a separate page to your site that's trackable, that you're steering traffic to through referral traffic from your social media site, and then that is exclusively about the product or service you're promoting. So, the article is family, the Skidinskis just booked a Disney trip, they had a great time. Now you click back to book your trip. The page is laid out with, maybe your value proposition, whether it's a discount, whether it's a value, whether it's something specific about you. It's got a way to contact you, and it's got a way to fill out a contact form. for more information so that you can contact them. So that would be a landing page, and you can create a landing page just as easily as you can create a web page. We do all of our builds exclusively through WordPress, so if you can click add a page, you've now built a landing page or a page for your website. It's really very simple.
So just to clarify, like, I could potentially have one landing page for Disney, one for cruises, one for all.
That's how you do it.
Yep, and then you would want to, again, create a promotional channel for each one and separately track your results so that you can see, wow, Disney's really killing cruises.
Yeah.
Let's slide that portion of the budget over to Disney.
Yeah.
And that's where the measurement and analyzation comes in. Product videos, as we just witnessed with the Micro Moments video, can be a great way to connect with your business. If you're selling a product, that's a statistic there that's just mind-numbing, 144% increase. This is the second time I've seen this statistic come up. I heard it first at a search engine optimization conference I was at. They actually said 11% reduction in visitors, so I'm not sure how the 7 in conversion relates to 11% in visits, but think of your Google searching, you click on a site, and it's loading, 1, 2, 3, bang. How long are you actually going to wait for that site to come through? We're so instant. And another thing to look into is accelerated mobile pages.